Hello everyone, this is Sinema77, horror cult film lover. I'm back with another video. And the reason why I want to talk about this one, number one, I absolutely love and adore this movie. I think it's wonderful. And the main reason I wanted to talk about is because now on Netflix, there's the extended version of it, which, just makes me even more happy. The movie I'm talking about is Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. And this movie here, I can't. I've watched this movie, over a dozen times, probably more by now. But this is definitely up there on my list of favorite Tarantino movies. And now, like this is the theatrical cut, which runs 168 minutes long. So it's almost near, it's almost near 3 hours long. It's about 2 hours 48 minutes. But now we have the extended version of the Hateful Eight, which is on Netflix. The thing is, though, is they kind of broke it up into like a series. It's like 4 episodes, but each episode runs like 50 plus minutes. But overall, the extended cut of this movie runs about 210 minutes, give or take. So you're looking at about a 3.5 hour version of the movie. So, and yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I think it's fantastic. You got a great cast. I mean, you got Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, Walton Goggins, Jason Leigh, Bruce Dern. Let's see here, Tim Roth, Damian Bashir, Michael Madsen, Channing Tatum. Zoe Bell is in here for a little bit and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I got this on. This is one of those movies I got it on day one, and here's the inside of the slipcover fold, but anyway, though, yeah, I mean, this movie is just fantastic. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you're a fan of the movie. I don't really need to explain too much of it. We have this, you have an assorted group of characters. They, your main characters really are Major Marquis Warren, played by Samuel L. Jackson, Daisy Domergue, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, and John Ruth, the Hangman, played by Kurt Russell. They're on a stagecoach and they're trying to beat a blizzard. They're in a snowstorm, blizzard's coming, and they got, James Parks is OB, which, he did a really fantastic job in the movie. And, they're trying to beat a blizzard, and, they've realized they're trying to get to a place called Red Rock, but they realize they're not going to make it in time. So they got to stop at a place called Minnie's Haberdashery. And on their way, they pick up Captain Chris Mannix, played by Walton Goggins, who, us horror fans, we're definitely always going to remember him from House of a Thousand Corpses and things like that. But, this is the second movie that, at least I think it's the second movie that Walton Goggins did with Tarantino. He was also in Django Unchained. But, yeah, so they get to Minnie's Haberdashery, and you got these other characters there. You got the Colonel, played by Bruce Dern. You got, let's see, what's the name? Joe Gage, played by Michael Madsen. You got Oswaldo Mowbray, played by Tim Roth. You got Bob, a.k.a. Marco the Mexican, played by Damian Bashir. And so, yeah, they get there and pretty much, kind of like this, it's kind of like, who is who can trust who and everything else. And that's what's going to bring us into our topic today is, is this movie a horror film? I've already, that's the thing. I've already heard people talk about this. Is The Hateful Eight a horror film? And I could see where they're coming from with it. The thing is about Hateful Eight, even though it's definitely hailed as a Western, it really does run through a lot of different genres of film and everything. And but anyway, while I explain, I'll go ahead and just saw this picture of Jennifer Jason Leigh. I think, people would really like to see. So anyway, so you have that to look at while I explain. Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's always been like a childhood crush of mine. I remember, I think I said this in one of my Blu-ray videos, that in the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I know, like, everybody always hailed Phoebe Cates as the ultimate babe in that movie. And while, nothing against Phoebe Cates, I always, had a crush on Jennifer Jason Leigh. She was just, I don't know, she just did it for me. She just knocked me off my feet. But anyway, though, going back to what we were talking about, is the Hateful Eight a horror film? And you could definitely see why people would think that. The movie, it is a Western. Um, it's definitely a detective story because, ultimately, the character of Marquis Warren and Chris Mannix, they ultimately turn into, as the movie progresses, they turn into basically a Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Even though, during the course of the movie, if you've seen it, you could tell in the beginning of the movie, these two can't stand each other, and, of course, it's a Tarantino movie. So you got, the character of Chris Mannix, you know, he's a white soldier and, he was, he fought for the Confederacy, so he's, against, black people, and as far as he's concerned, like black people are slaves and everything else. So he and Warren, they don't get along at all. But as the movie progresses, the two of them realize that they got some bigger problems as the story goes along, and the two of them have to team up and basically kind of deduce like what is going on, what's happening here, and everything else. And what we end up finding out is that the place is actually set up for an ambush. That Jennifer Jason Leigh's character Daisy Domergue, she's got like her henchman, which spoiler alerts right now, so spoilers. We find out that actually that Joe Gage is actually Grouch Douglas, and that let's see here, Oswaldo Mowbray, Tim Roth's character, is actually Pete Hickok's. And, as I said, Damien Bashir's character, Bob, is actually Marco the Mexican. And their whole plan is they ride with Jodie Domingre, who is played by Channing Tatum. And the whole point was they get to Minnie's haberdashery and they, ambush and kill the people who were there and set themselves up so that when John Ruth, Kurt Russell's character, gets there, they're waiting for the opportune moment that they can kill him and that they can end up freeing Daisy and they can go on their merry way. So, there's definitely detective story, and there's definitely moments where, um, they're like Samuel Jackson is trying to figure out what's going on. And as he's coming close, it's getting more and more apparent what's going on. And the movie is just, it's got a lot of twists and turns in it, and yeah, it's really, really good. But is it a horror film? Okay, well, one of the reasons why people would think it's a horror film, number one, there's definitely a good bit of gore in the movie. You don't see it very much in the beginning, but when it gets more towards the middle of you get to the halfway point of the movie, you realize like okay, like like I said, spoilers. You realize that at one point someone poisons the coffee that they're drinking, and it turns out that Ob and James Park's character and John Ruth, they drink the coffee, and they end up just throwing up like rivers of blood. So you could see like okay, that would kind of make people think and when he realizes like when Kurt Russell's character realizes like what's going on, and Jennifer Jason Leigh's telling him when you get to hell, John, tell him Daisy sent you, and so he's pissed off and he starts beating the crap out of her. Meanwhile, he's throwing up his guts, and James Parks is doing pretty much the same thing. And at one point, he's like, you get a sense, the movie does, recall movies like Evil Dead, because at one point, like he's fighting Daisy, he's got her on the floor and everything else. He turns around, and he vomits up like a river of blood right in her face, and it would make you think of like Evil Dead, And I think also too, I'll get to that, but also too, like the whole, cabin stuck, no place to go, and all this kind of stuff, people trapped trying to kill each other, things like that. But so anyway, so yeah, there's that. Plus, you got the music by Ennio Morricone, which if you're a horror fan, you're gonna remember a lot of this music. You're gonna remember a lot of the music that Morricone did from The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, if you've seen that movie, you're gonna remember that soundtrack. It's one of the most memorable soundtracks there is, and you're gonna definitely remember Morricone's music. It's so distinct. And it sounds very, it when you hear it. And you also can remember hearing Morricone's music from like The Exorcist 2, what they call Reagan's theme. But the trick is, and I have the soundtrack, and what what's kind of really, clever, I think, on their part is that, instead of using the American name for the music, they end up using the Italian names for the music. So you're kind of, so it's like if you're not really a connoisseur of Morricone or his music, you would think you're getting all this soundtrack with this wealth of original music composed by Morricone, which in fact is a lot of, you know, music that he's composed for previous films, like The Exorcist 2 or The Thing. A lot of The Thing music is in there. And you got at one point in the movie when you know Jody Demingray and his gang, they're ambushing the people in many haberdasheries. You know, they're killing everybody there. At one point, Michael Madsen, he's going to find one of the guys that works there, and you hear David Hess's song, "Now You're All Alone," from The Last House on the Left, and then that's playing, and you realize it's used almost in a similar vein. It's where this man has a gun and he's going to find this victim. This victim has no chance of surviving, so he's going to go ahead and he's going to shoot this person and take him out. And so yeah, it's used in a very similar vein. And then you know like I said, when you watch the movie, I think also too the connection of Kurt Russell in an isolated space, with a small assorted group of characters, is definitely going to recall images of The Thing. And you know they're kind of like this. Everybody's in this place where nobody trusts anybody, nobody knows who's who and what's going on and things like that. So you could definitely get a sense of, and plus it's taking place in a blizzard where nobody can get out. So yeah, it's definitely going to recall memories of John Carpenter's The Thing. But I think also to it, because you have that, people in a small limited space, it kind of recalls, plus with the gore and everything added to it, it's going to make you think of movies like The Evil Dead, and so many other things going on that, yeah, I mean, you could definitely see it's like, there is a horror element to The Hateful Eight, but I don't really know if you could consider it horror. Maybe some do. That's kind of an interesting question, but I have heard people say that, technically The Hateful Eight isn't really a Western. It is a Western, but I've heard people say, like, well, it's more of a movie just in a Western setting, but it's more of a horror film. And, for the reasons I just stated, that, because of like the, you know, um, because there's a lot of gore. And then like because the entire movie mostly, Daisy Domergue here, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, her character is mostly just handcuffed to John Ruth the entire time. And so anyway, so her character is, to get free, she ends up finding a machete and she ends up hacking off, Kurt Russell's arm. And just when she's about to get the gun, and she spends a lot of time, in the movie covered in blood and bruises and everything else. And when it's revealed that Jody Demingray is hiding in the basement, and he ends up blowing off, Samuel Jackson. He pretty much blows his balls off, and so when he comes up, it's like Samuel Jackson takes his gun and just blasts Channing Tatum's head apart, and you just see, just rivers and mountains of blood and brain matter and everything spray all over Daisy Domergue and stuff like that. So, so yeah, but I could definitely understand why. I mean, I don't really think of Hateful Eight as a horror film. I just think of it as a movie that does have horror elements to it. But I don't know. It could be, it could very well be a horror film, and I'm not really sure. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely, that's the thing, if you're a horror fan, but you're not really into Westerns or anything, like this could get you into Westerns pretty much. If nothing else, you could end up loving this movie, because this movie is, um, you know, like I said, if you're a horror fan, you're going to watch this movie and it's going to have so many elements of horror films that you are going to recognize. Like I said, Morricone's music, you're going to remember music from The Thing. You're going to remember music from, Exorcist 2. You're going to, if you're a horror fan, you're going to remember David Hess's song from Last House on the Left. There's plenty of gore here to keep you satisfied. There's, like I said, you have this kind of thing going on with the characters. Nobody knows who's who. Nobody knows who to trust. So, which characters can be trusted, which ones cannot. Um, but yeah, I just absolutely adore this movie. And, to find out that it's now there's an extended version of it on, Netflix, which, that's the thing right here. You know, I'm holding the theatrical cut of the movie. I really sincerely hope that at some point we do get the extended cut released on Blu-ray, because I would love to have that. Even if it's, I don't care, even if it's 4K, I don't care. Just, let's get it out there on physical format, because, that's going to be the thing. I mean, it's like already there's so much stuff, so much stuff with like Netflix going on, like they're taking off like a lot of shows, they're taking off, I heard like, again, they're getting ready to take off Friends, and all this other kind of stuff. And, that's going to be the problem, it's like, I mean, I know like the point is they want that extended version on there for long enough so that they can make money off of it and stuff. And that's all fine and good, but please, let's get it, let's get the extended cut of Hateful Eight out on Blu-ray or something, because there's going to be nothing more depressing than, knowing that it's on Netflix and they can pull it off anytime they want. And that's the only way you're ever going to see it. So, but yeah, I absolutely adore this movie. I love it to death. I think it's great. And, yeah, it's the horror film lover in me that really enjoys this film. But, you know, I will say if there was one complaint though, and that's kind of the thing though too, it's kind of tricky because now that we have a 3.5 hour version of the Hateful Eight, I think a big problem is that, ooh, the beginning of the movie is kind of like a lot of people, you know, the first like 45 minutes of the movie is kind of a butt tester in what I mean, in the sense is that, you're introducing a lot of the characters and they haven't even gotten them in his haberdashery yet. And I think for some people, that's when the movie really starts, is when they get to the haberdashery and then you get all the characters together and then, the tension starts to build and everything starts to go up and, who's who can you trust, who's working with who, what's going on, who's against who, and all this other kind of stuff. And I think, so kind of like the first 45 minutes of the movie or so, you just got the characters of Daisy Domergue, Warren, and John Ruth. They're all three sitting in the carriage and they're talking and, have a lot of conversations and stuff like that. Then they, pick up Chris Mannix's character and then there's a lot more conversation and stuff like that. So they don't even really get to they don't even really get to the haberdashery till almost an hour into the movie. And by then, I think everybody's just kind of like, okay, enough talking. That has been a problem with some Tarantino films, is that for some people, just even though Tarantino is, he's known for his dialogue. That's what he's known for. That's his main thing. But I think for some people, they just be like, okay, come on, just get on with it already. I mentioned that before, that it has taken its toll on me on movies like Death Proof. You know, Death Proof, I have to admit, is not my favorite Tarantino film. It's okay, but it's just like, especially if you watch the extended version of that movie, you got like, it's a 2 hour movie. You got to sit through like an hour of just girl talk, girls talking about guys, girls talking about, getting weed, girls just talking about whatever and everything else. Then, Kurt Russell's character is introduced and everything else. And then like about an hour in, something happens. Then you get, a long talking scene of Michael Parks basically doing kind of like the Simon Oakland character from Psycho, where he's describing why the killer is doing what he's doing and things like that. And then you got like another hour of talking. So, oh boy. So, yeah, so I think that would probably be about the worst part, is just, the beginning of the movie is like, if you add more scenes of more talking and stuff like that. So that could be about the only downside I could see to it. But yeah. And even in like Inglorious Bastards, there's a scene where they're in the basement where they meet Diane Kruger's character, and it's just going on, and and everything else. And I mean, I understand the whole point is like they're trying to build up tension, that they're in this basement bar, there are all these German soldiers there celebrating and everything else, and everything's getting more and more tense, and are they going to be found out and everything else? But still, it goes on for too long. So that is about the only complaint I have about Tarantino movies, but ultimately I do love his stuff. And Hateful Eight is a movie I absolutely enjoy, and just I can watch it over and over again. I have watched it over and over again, and just like I said, yeah, if you're that's the thing. If you're a horror fan, you're going to be into this. Like I said, it just has all these elements of horror films to them, and like I said, it's going to recall. It's going to make you think of like if you're a horror fan, it's going to make you think of like The Shining. It's going to make you think, especially John Carpenter's The Thing. You're definitely going to get that in your head because of like I said, small isolated place. Kurt Russell. Small group of characters. Who can trust who? Morricone's music, all that other kind of stuff. So yeah, so but ultimately, I wouldn't say so much that it is a horror film. I would just say that it is a western, mixed with a detective story, a murder mystery, mixed with horror elements. But yeah, it's kind of all over the place that way. But yeah. Anyway, I just really wanted to talk about this because I got so jazzed about the extended cut coming out, and like I said, I really honestly hope that we can get a Blu-ray with the extended cut on it here pretty quick, and maybe even more bonus features. That would be great. Hell, you know what I would like, honestly, just me personally. I would love if we could get like a 3-disc set of this and have like on disc one, because when this first came out, because they shot it in 70 millimeter, they were going to they did a roadshow version of it where they played it in like 100 theaters and stuff, where they put like an overture at the beginning and intermission in the middle and things like that. And and a lot of people never got the chance to see that. That would have been cool to see the roadshow version of Hateful Eight. But I would like if they did like a 3-disc Blu-ray set of it. If they had like on disc one, you had like part one of the movie, the extended version, and you got the overture, and then you got like the first half of the movie. Say like if it's 210 minutes, say like the overture, then like 105 minutes of the movie. Then like on disc two, you can put on the intermission, and then do the other 105 minutes of the movie, or however many minutes there are. And then like disc three, just load it up with bonus features, documentaries, um, featurettes, interviews, whatever you got, delete scenes, anything you got, bloopers, anything, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I really wish would end up happening. But so anyway, yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. I've said just about everything about Hateful Eight that I want to. I just love this movie to death. I think it's great. It's one of my favorite Tarantino movies. I've watched this bunches and bunches of times, and you know, yeah, I just really do. But I can't really. That's the thing. I can't definitively answer the question: is it a horror film? I think you can take it as a horror film, I guess. You know, but I can see why people think it is. For all the reasons I just stated. I'm not gonna. I think I've already repeated myself. I'm not gonna keep doing that. So, but anyway, that's about it. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. We talked about Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, and I love this movie. And like I said, now that there's an extended version of it, I'm very happy about that. And I just really, really hope that one day I can, as much as I adore having this version of the movie, I just really, really hope that one day I can replace this with a Blu-ray of the extended cut with more bonus features, hopefully. So that's one of my dreams. So anyway, that's gonna do it. Yeah, pretty much said everything I wanted to say. If anybody took the time to watch all this, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I'm sorry if I blathered on too long, but hopefully, I really do hope you enjoyed the video and found any kind of insight into it. And I hope just it was just a fun watching experience. If anybody did enjoy the video, please be good enough to like and subscribe. I do all kinds of videos. I do, I talk about movie reviews. I do shelf by shelf. I do haul videos. I do all kinds of stuff, and always looking for new ideas of what I can do to add to the channel. So, but anyway, that's it. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and I thank you for watching, and thank you very much. I'll see you later. Have a good day. Bye bye.